You are tuned into the issues with me, Irbad Ibrahim, and today we have a very important discussion. It has to do with the future of this country. A country that believes in industrialization certainly should be interested in our foremost technological university, the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. A few events have taken place leading to the dissolution of the University Governing Council. To help us put some context to the events of the past few weeks and past few months, I have to my immediate right policy analyst Rodelyn Ayana Imoro. Ma'am, thank you so much for making time.
Nice being here.
And we also have Chief Nathaniel Ebo Nsako. He's with the UN Youth Ghana and the country director for Millennium Promise Alliance. Sir, thank you so much for making time. In due course, we will make arrangements to speak with the SRC president of KNUST and also former Ashanti Regional Minister as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making time.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Nsako, you are a young man, and that is why you belong to the UN Youth Group. What do you make of the events, the recent events in KNUST? Bravado on the part of the Governing Council and the VC, and resistance on the part of young people at the university.
Yes, thank you very much. I think that the whole idea of vandalism is something that nobody really can defend. You know, it's something that is not in good taste. But when you take a critical case of the KNUST situation, you realize that first and foremost, the young people have actually been looking for an opportunity to express themselves. You can see that they were looking for an opportunity for somebody to come to they wanted to draw attention to themselves because there were issues that they really wanted to bring out. But the way and manner they went about it, that is what it is that has brought a lot of bad taste to the entire situation. But to me, I believe that something really went wrong in the area of dialoguing between the student body and the authorities. There was a break in communication. There was a great disconnect between the two, because to the extent that you could see that the entire student plus their leadership issued a statement to say that we are not going for lectures and that we are going, we are demonstrating. Then you have a school authority come out to say, no, you should ignore and attend lectures. I mean, it tells you that these two people are all leaders. You know, the leader on the side of the, representing the school authorities, to who is supposed to be dealing with the student leadership. And then the student leadership who is trying to command his cohorts. They should have been dialoguing. But because they were not dialoguing, this whole thing got out of hand. So to me, it is not in good taste.
And thank you for that preamble. Rodelyn, we are quite a conservative society where the young respect the old. We respect authority, even if authority is right or wrong. Don't you think the young people could have been much more courteous? Is it your right or responsibility to go for lectures, and can you decide that you want to go for lectures?
Good afternoon, Ghana. But like my colleague said, there were issues. And when there is a break in communication, then it becomes very difficult for sane minds to actually come together. This is a situation where we can't say they are not children. These are matured people. Once you're in an institution of higher learning, it is taken that you are a matured person, you are an adult. Even though one would say that we would treat them as young people and therefore they owed it to give respect to the elderly also owed it to them to listen to their grievances and at the same time try and at least, solve some of their problems. But from all we are hearing, this was a situation where they did not have any avenues. They had been complaining. They had sought for a listening ear, they didn't get it, and they just felt that this was it. And the last straw was for the security in the school to actually unleash that kind of punishment on them. So that was just too much.
Have you had a look at the surveillance footage that has been released by the university?
I have.
Did you see some of the young men brandishing cutlasses?
Actually, the one I saw, I didn't see the cutlass bits, but I saw those who had things like cudgels and stones and the likes.
We'll shortly speak with the PRO, the Public Relations Officer of okay, these are some of the pictures. You can check some of the footage. There was total pandemonium on campus with no respect or regard whatsoever for rule of law. And this is a public university. It's not a private one like Ashesi or Central or Methodist University. It is your tax money and mine that is used to keep the school in good shape. So any vandalism, that has just been indicated by Nathaniel, any vandalism is not countenanced in this country because all of the things that have been destroyed belong to the state. So some grisly footage. I'm not too proud of such pictures.
I'm not proud either.
I'm not proud. In fact, we at the UN Youth, we actually work with the student leadership. Okay, we dialogue with them, and we share a lot of thoughts with them. We hold meetings. We just ended a UN Youth SDG summit where all the student leaders were there. They talk to us. They tell us their grievances. We try to see how best we're able to come to their aid when it comes to advising them as to what to do. The limit, as we are just seeing, is way too much. You know, they just went to the extreme. That makes a good case a bad case. That's the only difference, because they.
Daniel,
yep.
I've had cause to criticize the students, and I believe maybe by the end of this program I'll have reason to have a balanced view based upon what you will say. And we've all been to uni.
Right.
This crop of students are not the first and won't be the last.
Right.
Maybe fellow students who wrote to us had better passes than they did. So when you come to a university and you are told by alumni that this hall used to be a single-sex hall, so revolt against the school, don't you think you are on the wrong side of history?
Yes, from that premise, I agree with you, because, like you rightly said, at the university level, you are being trained to be an intellectual. So, an alumni is not supposed to dictate to you for you to shut your brains down and not think through whatever it is that the person is telling you. You also have a brain of your own. What are you also thinking about the situation? It is not for another person who has passed through the school and is out to come and tell you what it is that is right and wrong when you are the one feeling it. In that way, then you have enslaved yourself, your mindset. That makes you that amateur or an immature person, not able to take a decision on your own. You see, so there are a lot of shortfalls in the whole situation. But there is more to it than just the placement of women, females, to the block. There's more to it than that. There are reports of abuses on campus unleashed by these security agencies against the students.
Nathan Road, I'll come to you shortly. We have Maxwell Dankwa, spokesperson for the SRC, KNUST. Max, thanks for making time. Hello, Max. Hello, Max. Max?
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Max. Thanks for making time.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Maxwell?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. And speak up a bit, Maxwell, so our viewers can hear you audibly.
Sure. No problem.
I won't take you back too much. Maybe you don't have the history of KNUST in the past 5 decades. I won't take you back too much.
Thank you.
Tell us, you are students and you carried out what we've seen on KNUST campus and you belong to the leadership. What are the remote and direct causes of the violent footage we've seen on the campus of KNUST?
Okay, I think for the sake of time, I'll just touch on the direct causes. For the direct cause of what happened, please can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. For the direct cause of what happened on Monday, it's the case of security personnel on campus manhandling and maltreating students and not being held accountable when reports were made. So I think in the run-up to that event, we had cases where students who embarked on morale or vigil activities belonging to Katanga and Quincy Hall, one where they had clashes or encountered the security personnel, and the way they went about it, discharging their duties, we felt that it was a bit below the belt and it wasn't really our place, because they could charge a student with a certain offense, then go ahead to exact a form of justice that they think is appropriate without even going through due process. So we found ourselves in a position where we reported cases to administration, and our administration turned more or less like a deaf ear. They kept on making light of the issues, and it got to a point where things had climaxed, and students felt that we were not doing our job, we were not representing their interests. And actually, it's not that we were not trying to, but we just weren't getting results. So we felt that things had to be taken to the extra mile. We had to go ahead and make our concerns known. We had to hit the ground and basically make a statement. And that's what happened. That's what happened on Monday.
Were the events that unfolded, were they spontaneous or they were premeditated? And what went into the mobilization?
It's spontaneous. And I would like to put it on record that the SRC regrets the damages that were incurred or the damages that were caused by the activity. But what we planned was a peaceful march or a peaceful gathering. And of course, it turned out or escalated due to one or two reasons. But our position on the matter as to whether to go on demo or not is not up for debate. We are still all out for the decision we took as a council. We felt that it was more or less a last ditch or the only attempt that was the only language that the administration was prepared to hear. And at this point, we still, although we regret the academic life has suspended, we feel that we are still pursuant of our cause till we get the results we want.
Max, a few of your colleagues were brandishing assault tools of destruction. We've seen surveillance footage of some of you holding cutlasses. Do you deem that a very civic and refined language?
Well, if you put it that way, then I think they're trying to push me in a corner which I don't think I should be in. Like I said, what we planned, and when I say they needed, what we planned was a peaceful demonstration. The message sent out is that we present a petition to the respective authorities as a vice chancellor. There was no mention of anyone arming himself with any kind of tool. There was no mention of anyone coming with any kind of harmful thing, or whatever. There was no mention of that. The best we could have managed was come with placards or boards with inscriptions on it, and they did that. Most of them did that. So, fine. Like I always say, we regret what really turned out or what ensued, but that was not the intent of the SRC. So we cannot say that, we cannot comment, or we cannot say that should have a bearing on our position on matters. It shouldn't.
Finally, Max, you are there. People in your early 20s and mid 20s, you are the future of the industrialization vision of this country. Don't you think moving forward, the kind of energy we saw on the streets of the campuses should be rather geared towards the laboratories and finding ways of inventing things?
Well, that's true, but you see, we find ourselves in a society where people have opinions, and you cannot say that when someone's opinion is being suppressed, he should turn a blind eye to that and still channel his otherwise very resourceful form of energy into going ahead to work under certain conditions which is not conducive for his existence or his basic comfortability. You see, let's not play with the issues. Let's not trivialize it. Let's not lower it or reduce matters as more or less a poor dispensation of energy that took place on Monday. What happened on Monday was symbolic in every sense of the word. What happened on Monday was more or less a movement to stand for something. We are the future. Of course, industrialization rests on us. But the thing is, we have to also...
Max, do you know, and if you don't know, maybe after this interview, take time, when you get the opportunity to access the campus, do you know the elevators to some of the dormitories are spoiled and you don't have the technology to repair them?
Well, I'm actually aware that some of them had been out of service.
Yeah, so shouldn't that be what we would be discussing now? That KNUST students have been able to take the campus off the national grid, provide electricity to Ejiso, Eija and other outlying areas. Aren't you ashamed?
Why should I be ashamed? Of course not. I think you speak from a blinded angle when you make such a statement, in that students on campus are doing major things. Of course, given the limited nature of resource, you probably will not hear it, or because you probably won't get to a certain scale where it will make it to headlines. We have students who are making traffic lights, making solar-powered vehicles. We have students.
So someone has made a solar-powered vehicle on campus?
Yes, we have cases like that. At a very miniature level, they are doing big things. But like I said, because of the limit of resources...
Yeah, that's all we're asking for. Let's highlight the positives. Let's magnify them.
It won't make headlines. You understand?
Okay.
We have to not trivialize the issue, and that's what is happening. I mean, you are so quick to rubbish the efforts of students to be heard, but you feel that students should also go out of their way to do things that are geared in the academic field, which is very okay. But they can't be isolated. They work hand in hand.
Okay.
Yeah, at the social level, you have to make a statement. Intellectually, you have to make a statement. You should not be suppressed. And that is what we are standing for. We are being suppressed. We are not saying we are not ready to think, or we lack the ability to think. We can think in a certain sense. But when the atmosphere is not conducive, what then gives? That's the question you should be asking. Don't trivialize the issues.
Okay, Maxwell, spokesperson for SRC, thank you so much for making time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise.
Okay, thank you so much, Max. Rodelyn.
Yeah, I really ask myself sometimes whether we're really thinking, because at the end of the day, we're thinking about cars that have been smashed and other things. No one is talking about the casualties of human beings, those that have been traumatized, those that have been wounded. None of us is talking about that. We are more concerned about cars and the image and whatnot. How about the people? I mean, if you're in a school, an institution, and you have authoritarian rule, you're being oppressed, you're not given the opportunity even to express yourself, then how are you going to be able to deliver? You can't even study. And from what I heard, I mean, parents were speaking about how difficult it was to even enter the school. You understand? To even get access into the school and all sorts of things. Then you have the security who are supposed to be stoutly built.
In a very civil society like ours, if I had a brother at KNUST and I went to visit him over the weekend and I was prevented, and that shouldn't have led to smashing cars.
I'm only saying it's one of those things. It's one of those things. When you're dealing with people, stakeholders, you have to discuss issues. You're supposed to be able to communicate with them. You negotiate. These things came from the fact that first we all thought that it was supposed to be getting the halls mixed up and stuff. That was what the beginning was. Then later we got to know that no, that was not the main issue. The main issue was that they felt oppressed. They felt that the management was too authoritarian and therefore they could not take it. And I am saying that at the end of the day, yes, they made mistakes. What happened. They couldn't have gotten the least idea that this thing was going to happen, but it happened. So we condemn it in all manner. But then at the end of the day, let's look at the management. There is going to be a demonstration. Students are saying we are going on a demonstration, and then management comes out and says you have to go to lectures, and there is going to be a test, a quiz. What are you doing? Even in our own homes, when you're even dealing with your own little child, and you kind of like say, I'm punishing you, and then at the same time, Mommy, I want to go, and then you say, you are not going, if you're going to do it. You can even imagine the type of behavior that child is going to put up. So at the end of the day, I'm saying that yes, the students went overboard, but it wasn't intentional. But then management also did not listen to the students. They should have. They should have given them an ear. And if you are managing adults, because people in the university are not children, they are not kindergarten kids that you can just push around. If you keep telling them that you can't have female visitors in your halls at 10 p.m., there's some married people there. There are people who are married in those halls. And I'm saying that as management, if they wanted to have mixed halls, it meant that they could have at least arranged. Legon has done it. Private sector could have come in to build more hostels. Right. They could have gotten more accommodation for the females if that was one of the things. Just try. SHS, try making Wesley Girls a mixed school. Just mention it that you're going to make Wesley Girls first class, an Ivy League school. Well, I said that you're going to make it a mixed school and see the kind of things that is going to come up just from old girls. So I don't think this alumni thing, we've had alumni, we've had political figures to the extent that the ruling government will have its chairman, its regional chairman, coming out to say that a former president was involved. How? We shouldn't even politicize such things. This is something that has to do with our kids. Let's deal with it that way. And let us find ways and means of solving the problems. What is it? Was it true that the VC was high-handed with the children? Was it?
I think on this issue, everybody is putting all the cards they have on the table. And for independent voices like, yours, we are trying to find out what common ground we can find. So such an unfortunate eventuality that doesn't recur. I'll come to you, Nat. Nat, we just read in the news that the council, the governing council has been dissolved, and that probably will include the vice chancellor, the VC. We await an official communique as to what his fate will be when the school resumes in a fortnight. Okay, we have the Ashanti Regional Minister on phone. Honorable, thank you so much for making time.
Hello.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Honorable, we are just reading in the news that the governing council of KNUST has been dissolved. We know as
that one I cannot talk to you. The person who spoke to me off air, I told her that those issues you must ask the Ministry of Education.
Okay, and okay.
Those ones I can talk to them.
Okay, thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for whipping me in line. And you sit on top of RegSec.
Yes.
What are you doing currently to bring back normalcy to the campus of KNUST?
All right, thank you very much. In the case of security, you should say that calm has been restored to the place, because when the crisis occurred, we imposed dusk to dawn curfew for just 1 week, and then asked the students, all of them, to leave the campus by midday following week, except the foreign students who were asked to remain and security protection provided for them. So calm has been restored. The security of the place is now under joint task force of police and military until the other issues are resolved and the students return to campus. Even when the students are recalled, they will still maintain a certain level of security there until finally realize that everything has fully normalized before we withdraw them. So for now, everything is okay.
And based upon the briefing, Honorable Minister, you've received from the regional commander and the other intelligence agencies, was this a spontaneous event or it was premeditated?
No, it wasn't spontaneous. We had intelligence the day before. That is why we asked the regional police commander to send personnel there early in the morning before even they started the demonstration. Except that while we thought it was going to be a peaceful demonstration, normal demonstration like ordinary student demonstration, until we had information that the
taxpayers are raising concerns because this is not a Ashesi University or
we
Methodist
had
University.
asked the police commander to send reinforcements, and later also asked the military to send some people to us.
Okay, thank you
So
so
other
much.
than that, we had intelligence.
Okay, thank you so much, Ashanti Regional Minister, for making time. Thank you so much, Honorable.
You are welcome.
Thank you, thank you. And that was the regional minister for the Ashanti region. He was a bit coy on some of the fine details.
Definitely. With this
yes.
situation.
Yes,
and where
because
he stands.
this is a multi-ministerial effort,
Exactly.
and he doesn't want to jump the gun.
Exactly.
So what do you make of the way the region has managed the situation?
Well, I must say that if we are to be very truthful to ourselves and decide not to wear wooden spectacles and to look at the situation as it is, we will be able to resolve this. When you listen to the SRC, they are telling us that they are being suppressed, and they had issues, and they want people to listen to them. They want attention. What are the issues? Can we ignore the issues of speculation, where we try to say that some people were trying to influence them to do certain things because of to resist some female-male issue? That is not the issue. There are real issues of, things that the young guys really want a hearing. Are we ready to delve into that? The vandalism and all the issues that we refer to, these are cause and effects. Things that had happened, that could have been prevented, that were not prevented, and the effect has come. And so it comes at a cost. Obviously, we'll be looking at the cost like Madam was saying, because that's the first thing that you see. But the emotional trauma that the people have gone through, the students, before people come out to do things like these, Ghanaian, we are very soft people, we like ourselves and all of that. Before such people could be able to come out, he's telling us they wanted to do a peaceful demonstration and they are very sorry about what had happened. Which tells you that some people were harboring certain feelings. And these are the elements that have actually gotten the whole thing out of hand.
Nathaniel.
The way we are seeing it.
Nathaniel.
Yes.
Very uncharacteristic of Ghanaian youth.
Yes.
We are seeing a heightened level of impunity.
Right.
So this could be a trickle.
Yes.
That could turn into an avalanche.
Right.
So if today on a university campus people can do this, and we seem to be mitigating the magnitude of the rampage they went on, won't you be shocked if Parliament was attacked in future?
No, I will be shocked. And I'm not encouraging and mitigating what they did.
No, because if you say that you have pent up feelings,
yes,
go to the streets of Ring Road. There are people selling dog chains. They are not happy with the system.
Yes.
Does that mean you should turn against the state?
No.
Turn against authority?
No. You should find a way of for example, with my discussion with the leadership, some of the leadership, I was telling them that, look, you had a golden opportunity where you had a footage of these security agents whipping and manhandling some of your students. What you had to do was to even leak this to the press. If they had leaked that particular footage of the security and the way they were handling some of the students, we have footage of some students being actually lashed, caned
University.
in the university, and we are expecting them to be able to create machineries and stuff like that for us. You are contriving, you are trying to suppress them. So what I'm saying is that the approach was wrong. We condemn it in no uncertain terms. They had opportunities. They didn't take their chances, their opportunities. But the signal has been sent. And so in trying to resolve it, we don't have to go into blame game. We have to look at it head on. That's what I mean by don't put wooden spectacles. What should have been the ideal situation, we all know. What has really happened is a mess, we all know. What do we need to do? That is what we need to find. We don't know.
Okay, and we are lining up a few people that ever went to KNUST and they occupy various positions in the country. We have former Deputy Minister for the Ashanti region and former SRC President of KNUST on the line. Thanks for making time, Honorable.
Thank you, my brother.
Hello, Honorable.
Hello, my brother.
Hello, Honorable.
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Okay, thank you so much for making time, Honorable.
Thank you.
As an alumnus of KNUST, what do you make of recent events on campus?
Oh, thank you, my brother, for the opportunity. I think the recent happenings, as we all know, was not the best of things that we wanted to happen on our great university. Following up events, we were hearing how students were being treated, being molested here and there, and we also witnessed the demonstration which came out with a lot of distractions that I've never seen on that campus before. So we were not happy at all, and I was not even happy that my great university was in that news for that behavior. But thank God, I think everybody is talking about it, and strictly there's going to be some peace to this situation. And I believe that now students have seen that we all need to come together and have a peaceful academic work. So some work are going in to ensure that the school is reopened on time. And this situation, whatever being their grievances, to everybody to look at it, and then we move forward as a people and as a nation.
You served at the very apex of student leadership, former SRC president. The kind of reportage we are getting that Katanga and Conti students and students generally are molested by internal security on campus. Is there any iota of truth in that?
I can't put my finger on any reports I've cited, but briefly, we had that briefing, and then we believe them. I mean, students, they cannot tell lies. If they are not been beaten, they can't say they've been beaten. There are few videos we've watched, but I can't vouch for those videos that we've seen. And truly, we do agree that that is the core of their problem. They are saying that they were being molested by some security forces on campus, and then they were not being treated as students, and as for that matter, as elderly people. So that has been their problem. We can't, I can't say, I really have not cited, but I believe in some of the student leaders who were telling us what was happening. So that is what I can say.
But in your time, Mr. President, there was mutual respect between the students and internal security.
Precisely. That is what I said.
And you left school. You left school how many years ago?
Today I was checking. There's a report I saw online today when I set up the SRC hostel. Strangely, in November it was 18 years.
You left school 18 years ago. A lot of water has gone down the bridge, Mr. President.
Yes, so you can imagine. We were there, yes, there's that mutual respect. So that, in my statement, I was calling for that mutual respect. Now we respected our lecturers, our authorities, all right, and they were also respecting us. There were mutual respect. If there are issues, we will not compromise student interest. We will stick our neck and speak for students and get student interest as paramount. And they also respected us. And again, if authorities have issues, they want to discuss, they will discuss with us dispassionately, and we all agree and come to a consensus, and we move forward. Okay. So that is what was happening. We know that the students form the largest stakeholder of the university. Okay. Also, without the lecturers and authorities, we cannot also go through the university and get our degree.
Okay.
So it's a mutual thing. So how then do we balance that? So
Thank you.
There should be that thing that we have to respect each other. And it goes with responsibility. Each of us also have responsibility towards one another.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Former Deputy Minister and also former SRC President of KNUST. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you, my brother, for the opportunity.
You're most welcome.
So the key statement there is mutual respect from the lecturers, to the students, or management to students, and students also to management. That was expected. I just can't imagine a security man lashing out as a student.
And much so when the students know that some of these security guards have lower academic qualifications
Exactly.
than they
And so you bring macho men as security, and they come to intimidate. And you know, because of the SHS and
Right,
that,
right.
some of them are very young.
Yes.
Some of the students are very young, so they
Yes.
feel really intimidated.
Intimidated. Yeah.
You know, so some of these things, management has to look at those things, because at the end of the day, you are in charge of a school. Times have changed. You understand?
Yep.
When people used to go at the age of 22, 23, these days they are going as early as 17. And they're still young. So if you get a security man standing there bullying these, you kind of like put them off school.
Right.
And that's wrong. So I think that the management did not handle issues very well. They should have listened more, you know, and shown a little bit more concern towards their grievances. But it didn't happen. And this is what happened. And we can't also just sit back and say that because they destroyed things, so they're at fault. No. Something happened. Something tricked them to do that. And you know, come to think of it, you're talking about students holding weapons. But the police were called in and they came with live ammo. They didn't come with rubber bullets. The warning shot was live. Why should you call in security with live ammo? When the police come in, you don't give them an opportunity to even try and settle, but then you bring in the military. Why? Were they at war? Were the students armed? Were they so dangerous? Those are our children. And for some people, they'll be so traumatized, even seeing those people wielding those weapons.
But,
and then we are
but-
told by one of the
Yes.
SLC
Yes.
that he was virtually slapped by a security man.
Yeah,
For what
Rodelin,
reason?
Rodelin, you say they are children. Yes, you are mothers, but you taught us to surrender our seats to the elderly and to respect the elderly. You didn't teach us to be violent, did you?
We didn't, but we expected the elderly to also respect themselves and to treat us as human. That's how it is. When you treat me as a human being, young as I am, I will give you that respect. But when you treat me as trash, you expect that from me. That's the way it is. The world has revolved. It's changed. There was a time that children were supposed to be heard, not seen. These days, it's not. It's not, you know, children should be heard and not seen. These days, it's like, I talk to you, you talk to me. That's how it is. So we have to change with the times. It is not like a headmaster and a student. This is a tertiary institution. They are there as adults in their own right. And they are the future leaders. You're supposed to guide them. But if you start being authoritarian, that's exactly what you're teaching them to be. Authoritarian. And it's wrong. You can't go oppressing people. You have to give them the leeway. You have to make them feel relaxed in that atmosphere. People leave home because they are so kind of like caged in at home.
Right.
And the one thing they want to do is get to uni and be free. When we go to university, we want to go in there. Everybody is excited about going to university because you're going to be free.
Nathaniel,
Yep.
for your time in a university,
Right.
it's so transient. You are called a freshman. By the time you open your eyes, you've graduated.
That's it.
You struggle for a year serving the nation.
Right.
Eke out what little you are given as allowance.
Yes.
And you struggle for 5 years to secure a job.
Exactly.
Can't
Maybe
our
10.
young ones have this psyche that your priority being on campus is not to cling to age-old traditions, but do the basic thing of learning to make your grades? Rodelin makes it seem like you are going to spend 20 years on campus. So there needs to be that, you know, social setting that has to be created. The time is too short for you to stay on campus. I'll give you the opportunity.
You put it in a very nice way.
So they say sleep at 6 p.m.
No.
Sleep and then make your grades and go.
Yeah, you know,
Or I'm being oversimplistic.
Yes, yeah, oversimplifying the whole thing.
Oversimplifying the whole thing.
You know, I happen to have a similar experience when I was at a university. where we were not happy with certain situations. That time, Vladimir Intrudanso was the dean of students. And as soon as we didn't issue statements, we only sent signals to ourselves that we are boycotting lectures to ensure that we get the authorities to listen to us. As soon as the authorities heard, I remember that time Dr. Ben Abdallah.
Of blessed memory.
Right.
Is he still alive?
I am not too sure.
Okay.
He just got to me and told me, young man, he first went to the dean of students, the department and the dean of students, and then whispered to them that this is what he has heard. And then they came to the leadership, then told me to call all the leaders who were head in the various departments and all of that so that we could dialogue. We went into a session. And then when we came out, I saw that they had not heard that side of the story that we were presenting. And therefore, there was some sort of miscommunication. I'm trying to paint a picture for you to see that it's not as simple as that. Sleeping at 6, waking up this time, and getting your grades and going out. There are a lot of other things that combine and make the education fun for you to be able to learn. We call something enabling environment. When that is missing, and oppression.
Now, when your enabling environment is Shin Jama, keeping vigil to Shin Jama and make noise and disturb other students, is that an enabling environment?
It is. You know how much energy and how much they gain when they are able to do. I mean,
at
they go out there.
At the expense of other students that are calm and are studying.
Those students, I'm telling you, is part of the school. It's part of the system. You won't believe how many times even ministers of state would join in at the Vandals choir just to listen to them do their stuff. That one, they do it for fun, and after that, I mean, it's part of the exercise. I mean, the emotional, releasing emotional, they call it catharsis. Release of the emotional feelings, catharsis. You understand? It's part of human nature. Somebody may be calm, but he has something else that he needs to do to release some of these, emotional stress. And so you don't call that emotional stress something that is trying to harm the school, therefore you call in the police. What they said, the SRC said, the rep said, was that they had a petition and they wanted to just go and present their petition. Are we ready to listen to that petition? Are we ready to just look at that petition and then see, oh, point 1 is good, point 2, we don't think you need that, point 3 is not, and point 4 is this. I'm telling you, there was dialogue in those days where the dean of students would descend, come down, and call you guys and tell you, look, let this go, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. That dialogue was missing in this case.
Okay, we still have on the line, today is a KNUST show. A former student of Unity Hall. I think Unity was also a single-sex hall and legal counsel for the hall. Thank you so much for making time, counsel.
Thank you very much, my brother Ibad, and thank you to your guests and your viewers this afternoon.
Okay, counsel. We've seen the violent expression of what my guests have said is pent-up feelings of suppression. On the legal side, what are some of the remedies you are seeking currently on behalf of your younger ones?
Thank you very much. And once again, let me say kudos to your two guests. I've been monitoring you people when you started, and the line of submission is exactly where we stand. As a lawyer on the matter, can bring our citizens, Ghana and the world at large up to speed what really happened. This academic year, 2018, the students were told by the chaplain, or were told at one of the joint services, that the university was going to convert Unity Hall and University Hall into mixed-sex hall. The image of these halls, as well as the night of ourselves, felt that is not in good taste. And I like Madame Rosalind when she said, you try it at West Christians alone and see how old you have to be. And even I'm surprised you, right, in those days when you were talking about the Middle East,
But you sit in Ghana and you're able to send authoritative research and answers to people in Yemen. Today on this show, Ibad, you are changed. And you seem to be asking the other side of the question that all must be same. Ibad, let me come back to my legal submission. So when the matter broke, we filed a suit in court.
Okay, counsel.
Unity Hall filed first. Okay. And our brothers from University of Katanga followed suit and they also filed the arrest.
Okay.
Then the school was going to reopen on the 24th of August. So before that day, we have to go back to court to get an injunction, because even though we have filed our various rates of sermons in September, the media discussion that was ongoing pointed to the point that the university was bent on going ahead to send females into this hall, which means technically going to convert the halls, regardless of the legal suit against them, which they have been sent. So we went to court and applied for an injunction for the court of Ghana, the judiciary, to place a status quo to keep the people at bay for now. So we applied for the status quo to be maintained. And both parties will address the court as is done in a proper legal setting. The plaintiffs will state their case, the defendants will state their case, and the court will use the judicial lens to determine.
And counsel,
a disaster was met by the plaintiffs, i.e. the students, on 24th of August, when the court of Ghana, and this time the judiciary, which I belong, decided to dismiss the plaintiff's application. And I will say on GT, the nation #1, that at that point, the judiciary disappointed the republic. I also want to say again, the very moment that the judiciary, instead of keeping the status quo, so that the matter will travel after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, if a court of law finally says that KNUST can convert laws, by that time that will be a judicial decision. The plaintiffs will have no option. And even if it's a high court decision and we are agreed, we'll go to the Court of Appeal. If the Court of Appeal of Ghana says they can convert and we disagree, we can go to the Supreme Court. Until when the Supreme Court of Ghana has said so, when the Supreme Court says that, it will be the Supreme Court of Ghana converting horse. We would have been happy with that.
And
so
counsel,
our point was that
yes, counsel,
yes, please.
Counsel, I really appreciate the spirited way you are relaying the things that have been happening in the law courts to us. But counsel, I'll ask you this question. I know you are a legal brain and not a scientific one, so to speak. You are calling for the maintenance of the status quo of CAT and then uni-war halls being retained as boys' halls or for young men. Have you done any little scientific research to find out whether that enhances academic efficiency, or we are only sticking to tradition?
Thank you very much. In the first place, Ibab, it is good to stick to tradition. You are a Muslim. You have stuck to tradition. You can debate it. Your parents were Muslims. You were born into tradition. You can believe something.
Oh, counsel.
Sticking to tradition is not about it. You cannot tell me that you are saying boys a brickyard. Wake up tomorrow and say, because we want to take boys to a brickyard. Please, let me tell you, on the campus.
Yes, counsel.
Yeah,
you are on counsel. Even though you have a minute to wrap up, counsel.
Yes, I'll wrap up. On campus, your guest was telling me that the morale we raise, we use the morale to refresh ourselves. Let me tell you, the first class students you see on campus, most of them you see them in this morale ground. We call a place always around. Honorable Mutaka was an always around chairman. Napo, Minister of Education, was in Unity Hall. They were all always around every Friday to raise morale. At the end of the day, we take to reach juvenile and get ready. The simple thing is this, what has happened all this while is this. Because the university procured a judgment, a ruling which is infamous, the university has to use intimidation and coercion to make sure that that ruling is situated on the campus. So what did the university do? The university go back to the campus and now says that even though the case has not finally been determined, but we've been given a green light and we have converted a horse. How do we maintain that ruling? Let's now use static. So straight away, students were sleeping at 10 p.m. Straight away, students cannot visit their female friends. Straight away, the boys cannot meet and raise their morale. Straight away, when they are wearing unity hall t-shirts or Kapata t-shirts, the people down for you and beat you. So what is happening is that Karl Marx says that war is nothing but a system of rescue regime used by the ruling class to suppress the people. And that is what happened in KUST.
Okay,
After receiving that
Council.
the university now has to apply correctly and to make sure that the ruling is possible.
Okay.
And that is the aftermath.
Okay, Council.
They intimidated the students to the point that the students will have to.
Council, thank you so much. I would love to have coffee with you, Council. Thank you so much for making time. We have very fine young legal brains. Thank you, Council, for making time. In closing, Rodelyn and Nat, a lot of things have happened, and we are only picking signals that the governing council might have been dissolved. So going forward, certainly I don't want us to come 5 years from now, 10 years from now, discussing another riot. So what do you think? What pieces of advice do you have for school authorities on one leg, and government, and also the students? And this crop of students will make way for other students. There will be a natural transition. So what long-lasting, contributions do you think you can make, or suggestions or recommendations, so we forestall such an eventuality in future?
I wouldn't say that we can forestall such an eventuality in future. Demonstrations are normal things that goes on everywhere. But the least we can do, at least to curtail some of them, is for us to have management listen. We must jojo, and there must be some form of communication between the students and the management or the VC. We must have a VC that is in tune with the times. We cannot have, like you're saying, tradition. We can't have those days kind of person lashing out with a whip, getting everybody to go into class. It doesn't happen like that anymore. Even in today's Ghana, we are not allowed to whip our children in primary school, let alone in a university. So going forward, I think that maybe we should talk more. Students and lecturers and management must communicate more. We must get more representation within the council from the student body, so that they will get their grievances, heard, and probably their problems solved quicker. That's one of the things. But what happened is unfortunate. We are not condoning it, but at the same time, we think that management did not do well, and that's why it happened.
Okay, and Nathaniel, you represent the youth, not only the Ghanaian youth, not the African one. You do so at the UN level. So moving forward, what are some of the recommendations you would have?
Yes, I think that the young people, tolerance is one of the things that I will advocate for. I think that, yes, they may not have been listened to by the authorities, but I think that still dialoguing could have been a good opportunity for them. Like I said, they missed the golden opportunity to package their situation and sell it to a higher authority that could have come to their aid and descended to conduct an investigation into whatever it is that their situation was. But saying that, I still would want to caution that our leaders and also they shouldn't try to turn our universities into an extended senior high schools, because we are in a competitive world where at the UN level, for example, we are setting up what we call the Sustainable Solution Network, where over 126 universities are on online and are sharing ideas and all of that on the SDGs. You understand? And so if you belittle the intelligence of our intellectuals, our future leaders, you suppress them in this manner, I don't think is the best way to go. But I would just so plead with the leadership of the students front to try to resort to more dialoguing, and not to be violent, because, people are in there who are looking for opportunities. For all you know, if we should delve deeper into it, this vandalism couldn't have, some of them may be even passerbys, people who have been blocked from having access to the university, and so they are pissed off in a way, and they can decide to just join in and cause mayhem and stuff like that. You get it? So don't create that opportunity for others to benefit and take advantage of it.
Okay.
So you should try to resort to dialogue.
Okay. Thank you so much. We had in the studio Surodlin Ayana Imoro, policy analyst and a senior member of the CPP. Thank you so much, ma'am, for making time with us all the time. And then we also had Chief Advisor for UN Youth Ghana in the person of Chief Nathaniel Ebo Nsako. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much, Ibad.
So we come your way next week with another edition of The Issues. Keep praying for Mother Ghana and keep watching GTV. Do have a good day.